What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about two big stories, one of which is kind of crazy, and the other one just hilarious, which is that Google Stadia is definitely super dead, and it seems like it's because of their very stupid creative director, and additionally, games media has finally started to get the PlayStation 5. Now, both of these are pretty exciting. Now, I just want to say people have noticed that there's been a few less videos this week. Honestly, I've been working on a big review for Watch Dogs Legion. That's going to be up next week, so it's just been kind of eating up my time. But let's talk about the PlayStation 5. Now, a lot of people have been nervous because everybody's been obviously curious about the PlayStation 5. A lot of people have rushed to pre-order it, myself included. I, ran out and got one day freaking one, put that money down. But we haven't seen much about it. Like right now, people are finally getting the PlayStation 5 sent to them. We're probably going to see some review stuff relatively soon, but even now, people have a lot of burning questions about the PlayStation 5 because we have seen a lot less of it. Xbox seemingly has been mailing out the Series X to tons and tons of media outlets. I have personally talked to multiple people who have the Xbox Series X. They're using it for everything now, whereas Sony has been, for whatever reason, they've been holding back on the PlayStation 5, which has created this accidental side effect. I have noticed that a lot of people have started to become nervous, saying like, oh man, does the PlayStation 5 have some sort of problem? Does the PlayStation 5 need some sort of giant patch that just isn't prepared yet? But it seems like that's not the case, thankfully. So here we are, we're over on GamesRant.com, and it says, GamesRadar, and it says, looks like the PlayStation 5 is being sent out to media outlets. So it comes from this tweet specifically by Jeff Bakalar. Now, this guy's been quoted a bunch in media. He's definitely like a big, reputable guy. The box seems enormous. That's not really a big deal, but it seems like the PlayStation 5 is going to be quite the big old freaking chunker. But going back to the article here, it basically talks about how the fact that we know that some people like Travis Scott have it. People have been mailed the PlayStation 5 controller. We've actually been seeing the PlayStation 5 controller also being accidentally leaked. It seems like warehouses may be sending out the PlayStation 5 controllers way ahead of schedule. I'm not shocked that the final PlayStation 5 is being sent. And the reason why is because, like I mentioned earlier, currently I'm playing Watch Dogs Legion. Usually these companies like to try and get their games in the hands of reviewers about 2 weeks before release. And the thing is that if you're going to have your reviewers beat the game, do the side quests, find the collectibles, you need to get it to them as early as possible. Especially because, let's just throw this out here, a lot of games journalists kind of suck at games. They need that extra time to finish them. Now, I don't because I'm Mr. Pro Gamer, but I understand that a lot of people need to get it early. So if they're going to have some nice, delicious day one coverage of like one of the games I'm most excited about is definitely Miles Morales. You can see I've watched this gameplay so many freaking times. God, this just looks so freaking smooth. When I see this, I realize, okay, they're going to want to get this in the hands of people as soon as possible. That way media can be releasing these really dramatic videos before the system comes out. I'm excited to see what happens. The fact that people are getting the PlayStation 5s, even if it is just, blue check marks on Twitter, it's still exciting to think that we are just days away. I mean, literally just, 40 days? No, not even. Wait. God, we're so close to the PlayStation 5, I can't even do the instantaneous mental math, but I'm still so excited for it. Now let's talk about the other thing that is completely hilarious. Google Stadia has failed. I don't care what anybody says. Occasionally when I say the words Google Stadia has failed, people get real freaking triggered. And let me be clear about this. It's not a bad thing that it failed. It kind of needed to fail. Somebody needed to try and go out there and spend billions of dollars and set up the infrastructure for the idea of game streaming to see that we're not ready for it yet. There's a giant Texas rainstorm this morning, so if you hear some of this thunder and lightning, well, you're welcome. You get to enjoy a nice rainstorm during my wacky early morning video. But the thing about this is I'm still fascinated by the failure of Google Stadia because the servers are still on. They're not making money, they're not signing any fun exclusivity contracts, and yet Google Stadia still technically exists. But probably not for long because of some of the awful ideas by the people in charge of it. So this guy here is named Alex Hutchinson, and he had to recently change a bunch of his public information because just a bit ago, this used to say creative director at Google Stadia and Entertainment or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but basically, he is the creative director of Google Stadia. This is the dude who's supposed to be in charge of all the good ideas, which is funny because pretty much all of his ideas have been awful. Like, hey, here's him 8 years ago saying that every single games journalist is kind of a piece of crap. And here's also him years ago saying that the most boring Assassin's Creed would be one in Japan. Alex Hutchinson is a moron. He is a very, very high-paid moron, though. And this is what kind of annoys me, is that occasionally in the tech industry, you can just be such a provable dumbass and still get a job that pays you millions of dollars a year. Well, why am I talking about Alex now? Obviously, Google Stadia is completely in the freaking grave. At this point, it's dead as hell. But I have to laugh because this seems to be maybe their final idea to try and make money. Streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact that they're streaming games they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. Now this is stupid, but let me read the other half of it. The real truth is that streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. Alright, now Alex, let's just get this out of the way. You have directed the very worst Assassin's Creed game. All you've done is this. This is your claim to fame, is the Assassin's Creed where I run around in the forest. Not big, beautiful cities, not cool historical landmarks. The forest. But getting past that, Alex, I hope you don't mind if I call you Alex. Here's the thing, your idea is abysmally bad. The idea of content creators having to pay for every single piece of content. It would kill the games industry. And I'm dead serious about that. Your idea is so awful, it's very representative of why we obviously see Google Stadia failing, is that you do not understand the value of free marketing. Now, obviously, as many of you know, I'm not really a streamer myself. I do it a little bit, but predominantly, I'm just a content creator, right? I beat the games, I make a big video talking about the goods and bads, and then I kind of move on. But let's just talk about this. What would happen if every single time I was about to talk about a game, I had to ask official permission? Imagine if every time I was going to dig into a cool indie project, imagine if every time I wanted to do an Among Us stream with my friends, imagine if every single time I had to pay a licensing fee, whether that be $500 or $5,000. To be quite clear, it would not only kill this YouTube channel, because I cannot afford to spend $500 minimum on every video, it would also kill the games industry because this is what we've become reliant on. Discoverability has become a problem. As video games become easier to make, we have definitely seen an influx of new games. Now that the tools are just so readily accessible, everybody is a game developer. But I consider this overall to be very much a good thing. I think we have seen more creative ideas, more experimental projects, more things like Rocket League that I don't think Rocket League would have worked even 10 years ago. As good as Rocket League is, I do not think that this would have found a single bit of success if it wasn't for this time period now where social media exists, where people can show really cool clips of smacking a ball into a goal or something. So the fact that they were trying to pretend, that Alex is trying to pretend that maybe things would be better if everybody had to pay for the games they played, even if you're just making a singular video about it or a single stream about it, this is super ignorant, and in my opinion, it's actually dangerous. Now, I want to give you an example of this because I did just make a bold claim by saying that this is a dangerously bad idea that Google Stadia has come up with. Let's just look at something like Among Us. Among Us is very, very good, but a lot of people don't realize it. It came out in 2018, and it was actually a huge failure in 2018. It came out, it was interesting, about 50 people a day would play it. It was enough that the super tiny publishers They were happy with the game. Everybody now is aware of just how genius the idea was, but it didn't catch on. Until some streamers decided to sit down and say, you know what, I don't feel like playing Call of Duty, I don't feel like playing Fortnite, I don't want to drive around in Grand Theft Auto, let's try out this little like hide and seek mystery game called Among Us, where we have to kill each other and lie about it. It exploded. I mean, overnight the game absolutely exploded. Imagine if in a parallel universe, those people, those streamers had sat down and been like, all right, now send some emails to their media team that we can make sure we properly license this. Once we have the licensing contract properly signed, now let's go ahead and send them the initial payment. Now we're going to schedule the stream, talk to the other streamers so they can get in touch with their legal people. That way they can try and organize a contract as well. Maybe we could do like a 3-stream deal. Like imagine if they had to do all that to play a tiny indie game. Alex Hutchinson is a moron. I hate to insult this guy, but looking at his tweets, it's so stupid. Amazing to me the people that are upset as someone saying that creators of content should be allowed to make some money from other people using their content for profit. Like, Google Stadia failed for a lot of reasons. I do think that the biggest thing that held Stadia back was the technology. I just don't think that we're ready for this like all streaming future yet. But holy heck is this take awful. Imagine if everything cost money. Let's be clear, if people were actually streaming games on Google Stadia, if you had streamers excited about it, maybe it wouldn't have been such an abysmal failure. But the fact that this guy is earning a crazy paycheck in order to try and make ideas happen at Stadia is a testament to their frivolity. And what's funny is that Google agrees. This is the last thing we're going to look at. Google Stadia has now distanced themselves from creative director Hutchinson. Here's their official statements. It's so funny to me. Streamers worried about getting their content pulled because this was his original super awful statement. So here is Google speaking out against them. The recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google. We believe that publishers and creators have a wonderful symbiotic relationship that have allowed a thriving ecosystem to be created, one that mutually benefits everybody. It almost seems like fans of games talking about games is good. Game developers making great games is good. This moron trying to find a way to just shove some extra lawyers in there shows that he doesn't know anything because all he made is Assassin's Creed 3. Well, this has just been an off-the-cuff rant. Thank you so much for watching this morning, and I hope you have a great day. I gotta finish up with Watch Dogs and get that video ready, but if you enjoyed this one, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Alex Hutchinson is going to be fired, and I'm going to laugh because if you're this bad at your job, you're not going to get paid, buddy. I cannot wait to see there's going to be Google Stadia defenders in the comments, and I am ready for it. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.